How we doing, boys and girls? Good evening. Good evenings. It's been, we've just had flask hour. For any of you that can or can't tell. We've just had flask hour. Flask hour's been pretty fun. I ran out of flasks. I ran out of some of the flasks, all the same. Right, we should maybe let Discord know we're live. Please hold. Wow. Instant banned. Okay. Yeah, I actually got to the point where I ran out of flasks. So I'm frantically making some more. Good thing I had some herbs in reserve. When I say I ran out of flasks, I haven't completely ran out of flasks. But I ran out of the quality 2 alchemical chaos ones. I was amazed to see how fast these flew off the shelves. Are we making some gold? We are. We're making some gold. It's Wednesday evening. I'm cracking open a beer. Right, how many more have we got to craft here? 300 and some in. Okay. This evening's probably going to consist of an awful lot of frantic button pressing. But it's literally like Christmas. Now, this doesn't beat Shadowlands legendary numbers. We were doing 7, 8, 9 million, I think, at the height of Shadowlands legendaries. But it's pretty goddamn close. The difference is, Shadowlands legendaries, I was able to keep it up for like 10 hours straight, which was a bit bonkers. We probably could keep it up, but I'm not sure I've got materials to keep it up. So I think we're going to have to maybe not do a sellout, but cut our losses before too long. But these flasks are money. I sold through about 2,500 of them, like, fast. And I mean fast. I sniped over 900 boundless ciphers for 50 gold apiece. Oh dear, somebody's done a boo-boo there, haven't they? I suspect they probably meant to post 50 of them at 900 gold each. Not 900 of them at 50 gold each. Oh dear. It scares me, you know, sometimes. I sit and I watch Zanzaful stream occasionally and I see him posting shit manually and I'm like, you are going to make a massive mistake one of these days. Especially while streaming. They were Q1s, but still half a mil profit. Ciphers were going to the moon anyway. Even Q1s are like 600 gold apiece. Has not happened yet. Welcome in, my dude. Good evening. Right, do we reckon this is enough flasks? I thought this was plenty flasks earlier today, but it turned out it was not plenty enough flasks. The Q3s are starting to shift. They've been a little bit of a slow burn, but I have the sneaky suspicion that I've mentioned this a few times, but I have a sneaky suspicion that the difference in price between the Q2 and the Q3 is not helping the sale rate of the Q3s. This is kind of why I have the suspicion that the herb prices. I don't think herb prices are going down anytime soon, you know. I'm not convinced herb prices are going down. I think if you're a farmer, you are making cash money right now. Because whilst there is 14,000 flasks right now, when you look at the herbs that go into making these, and you can replicate this exact same thing for every different type of flask as well. The pure consumption of herbs right now is bananas. That's why I'm getting in nice and early, because I have a suspicion that it's only going up even further. Chase it while it goes up. Start the evening with an accidental buy of 7,500 viridescent spores at 30 gold apiece. I'm going to be honest, 30 gold apiece sounds cheap for the viridescent spores. They went to like 80, 90 last time I looked at them. I need to take a breather for 2 minutes to get some of these listed, actually. Alright, well that was 2,000 flasks. Let's see how long they last, shall we? Was that a knowledge point? No. Shit, what was my magic ratio? My magic ratio for making... Wait, hang on. There we go. Yeah, that's... Is that right? Yeah, we'll go with that.
Be careful.
Right, let's grab some of those. How's your goal-making adventures been, Zan? I took a little sneak peek in the stream a little bit earlier, but I was just about starting my stream as well, so I couldn't stay for long. There was one part during my stream, I took a bit of a gamble. I was like, I bet Zan's making bolts right now. Logged over, you were making bolts. I did some napkin maths on bolts as well, and I didn't announce this too publicly, but it felt somewhere in the region of about 150k an hour. I was like, holy shit. I'm out of a lot of stuff. Yeah, I'm in a luxurious position. I can't craft shit fast enough. I redid my maths as well. I redid my maths for cloth into spools into bolts. It turns out my maths was way off as well. There's even more profit in it than I thought. I figured it out that I was going by napkin maths of 3 pieces of cloth goes into making 1 bolt by the time you process it all yourself. And it turns out it's even better than that. Much better than that. So even my numbers were conservative. There's part of me that if I wasn't mass producing flasks, I might go back to mass producing bolts in a minute. I was this close to taking this tailor off this account and putting him on his own separate account and just letting him run 24 hours a day. It feels like it could be... I don't know. There was part of me that felt that, like, let's not get too overzealous. We do still have to sell all of this stuff, but I've also been selling the bolts literally faster than I can make them, so... Need more PC power for that. Thank you, Blizzard. I do have a second PC, like, right here. Could offload. That could be my bolt making PC. Could do it. Now we're cooking. God, I wonder if actually posting 20 a time is enough. I'm not sure 20 a time's enough. How are you able to craft at a profit? Everything's so expensive. very, very, very aggressive knowledge point acquisition methods. Min-maxing my professions to like literally bleeding edge. And then also making sure that your materials are bought at a good price. Going to the auction house and buying materials now? Maybe not the best idea. But if you'd already got a bunch of materials, you should be good. Now, it does mean that when I fully sell out of stuff and have to totally restock, I'm in a bit of a sticky situation. But as you can see at the moment, it's not bad. Come on, I want to break 4 mil. We were there a minute ago. Memory leaks ruining the fun. Yeah. Yeah. So far, I've not worried about that too much. I say so far. I haven't actually checked. Whilst there might be a memory leak, it does appear as if it might be getting better. Maybe when I consistently craft bolts for hours and hours on end, it might get a bit worse. But it's only using 7 gig of RAM right now. Which for WoW's not that bad. Doesn't feel that bad. Need a server board to fit in all the RAM that you want. That would help, yeah. I mean, these literally sell the second I put them on the auction house. This is actually bananas. $12,000 available. These are not going to last. I'm pretty sure there was 26,000 flasks of alchemical chaos earlier, about an hour ago. I'm almost certain of it. Maybe 90 minutes ago, there was somewhere in the range of about 25 to 26,000 of these. Woo! Spicy. All right, let's keep selling. I don't get the search button on my profession with Auctionator. Any idea why? Don't know. It was on by default for me, but check the settings. "75% crafting speed in tailoring will do it." Oh yeah, of course. I've never even been running super duper mega speeds either. I haven't got the Weaver's buff. I'm lazy. I don't have the Weaver's buff. Yeah, when it comes to crafting stuff at the moment, I think I did a little bit of a count up on some of my knowledge points earlier today. I've got just a disgusting amount of knowledge points, all very carefully positioned. Alchemy is 50, 90, 123, 123, 153, 171. Is that 171? Maybe. You pretty much need to be absolutely 100% min-maxed to start churning a profit right now. And like I said, if you're buying your materials off the auction house like this very second, you are not profitable, even if you are min-max. Most of the actual material prices are far past what the actual crafted item sells for currently, because the market's waiting for that churn, right? It's waiting for the it's waiting for the cheap stock to sell through. I either need to look at crafting with these, or I need to look at selling them back out again. There's part of me, though, that wants to keep them around just because having them is better than not having them right now. I'm not in a rush to liquidate. I do have too many quality 3 vials, though. There's part of me that might look at selling some of those later.
May the eternal sunshine.
Do you have a spreadsheet available to calculate the profitability of prospecting? I have some very rough napkin maths in the spreadsheet I put together, but it's not in any way, shape or form particularly useful for most people because it's heavily based on my data and my stats, which could very easily be completely different to somebody else's, which is why I haven't shared it publicly, because it would actually do more harm than good for a lot of people. If you just went in and, put the same auction house data into the sheet without adjusting it for your stats, it might not be too useful. I'm in a good position to do this, but I genuinely haven't had time to be making cool, customizable, easily shareable tools and this sort of stuff. I have hacked together a TSM profile, of which is very just basic bitch groups throwing stuff in. My spreadsheet is pretty hacked together, and the reality is I've done the napkin maths so many times in my head by now, I'm not even really relying on my spreadsheet even. I'm mostly just kind of doing it by maths. Buy for this, know how much I can craft with that. Does this sell for more? I'm relying on as few add-ons. I'm relying on as few.
Let's make sweet profit
tools to
together.
do the maths for me as possible. Craft Sim helps. It gives me an indication of roughly what I should be looking at and what I should be paying more attention to. But I still make sure that I trust my own numbers before I trust an add-on's numbers. Euler with a prime. Thank you very much. Good evening to you. I'm posting 20 a time, and I think I sold 15, 18. I literally sold all 20. I sold 20 the second I pressed the post button. There's part of me that wonders if I need to up my posting quantity on those flasks, because they sit on the auction house for about 2 seconds. Again, look. Absolutely firing. 12,000. They're disappearing. They're running away. I said this a couple of days ago. I had a suspicion that there was a lot of... I didn't think that the price of quality 3 stuff is going to drop. I suspected the price of quality 2 stuff is going to dramatically rise. And that's going to be just purely down to a sheer lack of herbs. And the fact that gatherers can pick their price, because at the rate that these are selling, only because there's a few people out there furiously posting it, is it sticking at even this price. This feels like we're about 20 minutes away from it being 1,000 gold plus for an alchemical chaos flask, which, let's be real, 1,000 gold for a flask isn't crazy. We were paying easy 1,200 gold a piece for flasks in Dragonflight. Ignore the fact that the quality 3 ones are stupid dupid mega money, but nobody's buying the stupid dupid mega money ones anyway. Plus, you can't actually guarantee these even with quality 3 mats. These are only ever produced with Q2 mats plus concentration, which is probably why at 6,000 gold a piece they're not selling particularly fast. But I actually cannot put these on the auction house and have them stay there for more than about 2 seconds. Look, once again, boom, 15, 20, gone. Before I can even move to this page, they're sold. This is ridiculous. Actually ridiculous. It makes me question what the play is here. Is the play just to wait it out for 20 minutes? Or is it because it's nearly 9 my time, which means it's nearly 7 UK time? Is this just the hour? Is it just the hour where you literally can't craft shit fast enough? Is it the hour where you just press the post button like crazy? Press the post button like crazy, worry about it in an hour. Hang on, what's going on here? Why am I getting pinged? What am I getting pinged about? Oh. There's a furious discussion going on in the Discord this evening. There seems to be an awful lot of interesting opinions floating about. I hope I don't have to be policing it. If they sell that fast, why not post more at once? Well, this is what I was considering a second ago. I was considering, do I up my? I'm posting 20 at a time. I don't want to blow my load, to use a phrase. If the demand is so ridiculously high right now, then there is the potential that it pushes the price even higher. That said, another 3,000 has turned up. People are just coming along, they're crafting them, they're dumping them at one price, and then they're just leaving them there. So there's these sort of walls starting to appear. But these are razor thin margins based on today's herb prices. So I'm quite sure. I'm not entirely sure based on today's prices whether these can realistically go much further. These are already up from about 600 gold a piece yesterday. So I'm not entirely sure there's too much willpower for them to go much higher. Plus, I would imagine for them to go much higher, it has to allow everybody to burn through their stocks and their resources. So I'm not sure. I usually recommend most people focus on turnover. Focus on turnover, sell everything as fast as you possibly can, and then you can always do it again. Ride the wave if the wave is going up. Because it doesn't happen too often, so you might as well take advantage. I have clearly ran out of other stuff, though. A nice position to be in, but auction can't be cancelled because there's an wow, I've literally never seen that line before. An auction cannot be cancelled because a transaction is pending, is I think what it said. I have literally never seen that phrase before. Clearly there's a lot of auction house traffic. It's definitely a phrase. That it is. I hate pressing the cancel button though. I'm not going to do this too much this evening. I can assure you that much. Not looking to pay 20k for you to click a button. Good luck getting your ever forged great axe at quality 5 then. My favourite response to that sort of scenario is, if it costs me nothing to click my button, why don't you go click yours?
Goodbye.
There's a touch of arrogancy in there for sure, but sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. There's always one or two guys like that in trade chat. Yeah, it's why I don't go anywhere near it. It's why I go, like, not going anywhere near it.
Greetings.
I'll live in the auction house. I'm good in the auction house. I know where I stand in the auction house. It's safe. It's my safe space. Interestingly, my actual sales per hour is slightly dipping now, and that's basically on the back of the fact that instead of posting 10 different things, I've sold out of 9 of those. Whilst I'm still selling an ungodly amount of actual flasks, I haven't got much else to sell. This is where we should probably get this dude doing something. Maybe not this dude. Somebody that can stand and mass craft things on the regular. What's Sanctified Alloys looking like right now? Nearly 7k a piece. Nearly 7k a piece and also running out. Nearly 7k a piece and also running out. All I hope, you know, is that all of these transactions are actually going to go through properly. This much traffic, sometimes you find that what you see in this list doesn't actually show up in your mailbox when you expect it to. I'm hoping that's not going to happen today. Tried a time walking dungeon earlier. Although the 100k XP once completed is pretty good, the mobs are only worth 158 XP per kill, fully rested. Oh dear, that doesn't sound like there's that sounds like they've missed a decimal point on the balancing sheet somewhere. What are you selling more numbers? The rank 2s or the rank 3s? Oh, rank 2s I can't craft them fast enough. The rank 2s fly off the shelves. But you'd expect them to. They're like 1/8 of the price of a rank 3. Look at the price difference between these, for example. 4k for a rank 3 and then 700 gold for a rank 2. Which one do you think is going to sell more more of? Like pure quantity, but the quality of the sale is better for me with the rank 3s. I make more profit on the rank 3s than I do on the rank 2s, but I can sell these literally all day long. Similar with the alchemical chaos. I can't guarantee these at quality 3, so I don't. And you can tell that everybody buys the quality 2s and everybody crafts the quality 2s anyway. But I can probably sell 3 or 4 times as many of these as I'm selling the quality 3 flasks. Price puts people off, there's no deny. When somebody comes to the auction house and they look at the mastery flask and they see 700 gold or they see 4,000 gold, they're like, probably go with the 700 ones, you know. Depending on obviously what their WoW head guide tells them to do. Is the goblin racial important for alchemy? In a way. In a way, if you like, it's difficult, right? Because if you are bleeding edge, yes. But most people aren't bleeding edge in the first place, right? Most people are doing it a little bit more casually. And if you're bleeding edge, it's just one of the things that you have to have, right? Like, you have to have all your tools, you have to have all the profession skill, you have to have gained every knowledge, you have to have spent your knowledge points well. It's just another thing on the laundry list. So yes, I'm not going to sit here and deny that being a goblin on an alchemist is beneficial at the bleeding edge, but if you're using concentration to craft a few quality 3 things, it's not going to make a single drop of difference to you. It's kind of quite situational like that. All their raid lead says we need every ounce of power we can get for Mythic Plus. Well, we got a sneak peek into Echo's guild bank earlier. Their guild bank is full of quality 2. Their guild bank is stuffed to the brim of quality 2 shit. They ain't wasting money on quality 3. But the point is that the top end guilds don't need to, because they kind of they're usually considered skilled players to begin with. It's your mid tier, it's your pug raider that lives in that world of everything must be the best, because item level is king in their world. And if you don't have the best enchants, the best gems on your gear in the highest item level when you apply to that pug, you might not get invited. And so there's this kind of hidden obligation for you to have the absolute best characters you possibly can, irrespective of whether it actually makes that much difference. We want... Are you shitting me? Those prices aren't real, surely. Yeah, 38 gold a piece, I was going to say. Those are bait prices if ever I've seen them. Why is it doing that? Why is it doing that? Stop showing me bait prices. They're actually 38 gold a piece. I don't want to see all the bait shit. Go away. Either way, sub 40 gold a piece. That means by the time we've converted cloth into spools into bolts, our crafting cost of bolts is about 76 gold a piece, meaning we can sell out the bolts at nearly 20 gold profit per, just by doing the processing ourselves. Secondly, we can then go and take it one step further if we wish and turn them into exquisite weaver cloth bolts, which, let's assume we're actually getting our bolts at that point for 78 gold each. That's give or take 150 gold for the 2 plus the storm dust, 150 gold for the 2 plus whatever this is actually valued at, 50, 200 gold a piece. 200 gold a piece, then you stack on some multi-craft and you stack on some resourcefulness. If you craft 1,000, you're looking at getting 1,400. Yeah, okay, those are still money. Those are still money for sure. If we go the whole route, well, let's get it putting it to work. In fact, the question I have is, can I do it for Q3s and make it still just as profitable? What's the quick? Not that one. Napkin math seems to indicate that it's good just buying the bolts, but if we could make the bolts first, it takes a bit of time, but it gives us a lot more margin to play with on the end crafting price of exquisites. But I've been able to sell them at 380 for days at this point, no problems whatsoever. Dust at 299. What do I feel about dust at 299? My initial thoughts of dust at 299 is that feels quite expensive. Quite expensive compared to the 250 I've been paying for it recently. It's quite expensive. Alright, well we'll just start the process going, making some basics then. Wait, oh, whoa. I nearly bought the bolts then. That would have been chaos, wouldn't it? 10,000? It's a good start. 10,000's a start, right? Let's get the ball rolling. Gold per hour is higher at the moment. Buying exquisites at current prices. That's with max build though. And you're only missing 1% multi-craft. Oh, buying mats to make exquisites, is that what you mean? Rather than making the bolts yourself. I'll be doing that quite a bit as well. Yeah, and the reality is, as I kind of should be. But I just want something running in the background, if I'm honest. Let's put Resourcefulness tool on. I want something casual that I don't have to think about running in the background. So turning cloth into bolts is... cloth into spools and then into something else is easy enough to have running in the background. Any time I'm focused on the actual crafting is time I'm not spent listing at the moment. So any fix to the bug where crafting stops because of uneven stacks? Not really. Pull everything out of your war bank if you can, so that at least it's pulling from your materials. Try and keep as much of it in your inventory if you can. It's easier to keep track of then. My first alchemy book got bugged, didn't give me the knowledge points, put in a ticket, and Blizz said it showed in my internal ledger and nothing would be done. I'm behind by 10 points on transmutes. It's a bit rough. Weaver cloth bolts sell faster in bigger portions. Yeah, I suspect there's people that come along and just hoover up like 10,000 of them. Presumably the people who are then turning them into the exquisites. One tailor funding another tailor's child through college. Okay, we can still sell the chaos flasks within seconds of putting them on the auction house. Means we do need to keep putting them on the auction house. Oh shit, I've just realised it's my sister's birthday. Whoops. In the sibling doghouse. Well, luckily I've got the advantage I live in a completely different country. And I'm also technically 2 hours ahead, so... And the funny thing is occasionally my brother watches the stream, so I wonder if he's also just gone, oh, shit! Right. That might keep me out of the doghouse. Are you guys hearing the auction house account? When shit sells, are you hearing the ding dings? Are you hearing the cash register? It looks like you are. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the better sound to have. That's the that's the ASMR. I don't think you want to hear the cloth unraveling in the background. Oh, flipping hell. Yeah, the reality is there's no easy way to keep track of this flipping cloth doing stupid things. Kind of the same with prospecting. It's just real annoying. Some Goblin ASMR right there. Music to my ears. Mr. Norton, how are we doing? Good evening. Wonder why people are looking for enchants in trade chat and not going to the auction house. A strong sign that they assume they're too expensive on the auction house. I would imagine. I don't know what the going rate is for some of the top tier enchants, but it's not a market I'm in, but I suspect they're just mental prices, right? Consumables. How do you search for enchants on the flipping auction house? I don't know. Item enhancements. Current expansion only. What the fuck is this? Who's got the market to themselves on cavalry? What is that? That's hysterical. First to market advantage. Quality 1, cavalry's march. What? Increased mounted speed by 6%. Clearly worth the 200k. I mean, arguably, 20-30k is not bad for an enchant, realistically. They've been much worse, but maybe there's people out there that want these but assume that it's a scam or something, and I don't know. Seem to believe that if they take the materials to said enchanter, they might get it crafted for them. I don't know. People end up doing wacky things on days like today. I need about 10 accounts to keep producing everything I want. It's real goblin problems, eh? Saw so many people on Twitter complaining about the prices, thinking we're scamming them. Like, enchants don't have the thinnest margins out there. Yeah, yeah. See, the thing is the quality 3 market, and I kind of suspected this was going to be a problem, because in Dragonflight, there was like outlier markets, right? There were some things that were just mentally expensive. And you could usually trace it back to just like one thing being expensive. So anything that used a diamond at certain points was mental expensive. I remember diamonds being 30k a piece. And so if you needed a couple of diamonds, whether to cut them or to put in a necklace or whatever the case was, it was easy to trace it back to like, okay, this is expensive because that material is expensive. There was also, what was it, the glowing Titan orbs, which had like just a ludicrously poor drop rate, and they were 30k a piece at some point. I think you needed 2 for a single weapon enchant, so that was 60k cost. Plus, you were technically meant to be fighting the quality 2, quality 3 proc issue. So, of course, 100k enchants were a thing. Didn't help that people were scamazzing the 100k enchants guaranteed every time, but that's a topic for another day. Zan knows the details on that one for sure. Yeah, Sophic Devotion was mental price, yeah. But it was always the fact that it was kind of like 1 or 2 things were just massively expensive. Everything is stupid expensive right now. Everything is stupid expensive. I don't know anything about no scope. No, I meant that you knew of it and knew the details of it, not that you were, not that you were part of the problem. But it was it was very much often that, oh, okay, this is stupidly expensive, but at least everything else was kind of the prices I expected. Now, quality 3 gems, stupid expensive. Quality 3 flasks, stupid expensive. Quality 3 enchants, stupid expensive. Like, literally everything you might want to possibly buy is stupid expensive if you want the best. So, it's guaranteed to cause tears. If you buy a token of gold right now, that token don't get you nowhere. What's a WoW token? 260. You take $20 out your back pocket right now and get 266 gold. I don't think you can even gear out a single character with 266 gold. Not even close. By the time you've bought a couple of enchants, and by the time you've bought, I mean, what do you need? You need how many flipping sockets? How many gems? And that's just one way of improving your gear, right? That's before you pay for your consumables and your potions and your food and your feasts and flipping everything. It's going to be tears. It's going to be tears. Spent 50k on my main just getting Q2 enchants. See, there we go. There we go. This kind of Q3 market being hard to produce, hard to acquire materials for, was always going to jack the price up of absolutely everything. This, for me, was one of the main reasons I decided that I was going to push all 8 crafting professions to quality 3 something. Even if it's only like a temporary thing, I wanted to at least see how ridiculous it gets. Weirdly, I've had to min-max and optimize my time and have slowly focused in on just alchemy. My alchemist just did really well with patron orders, I think. I know some people got screwed. In the first couple of weeks, I think I did quite well with my alchemy patron orders, and it's meant that I've been able to guarantee quality 3, or at least one quality 3 flask for like over a week now. That said, I've not sold all that many during that week, just purely because they're mentally expensive. Do you think they did it on purpose to sell more gold? I think, no, I wouldn't go that far. I would say they knew what they were doing, but they've kind of, since Shadowlands, they've been really, really careful with how much individual things cost. Shadowlands, we had the huge bob, because there's a psychological difference here. I've spoke about this a few times on stream. Some people have probably heard me talk about this before, but if you pay 250,000 gold for one item, it feels psychologically really painful to do. If you buy one item and it costs 250k, that's a huge purchase. You instantly go, that's a token's worth of gold. You instantly know that's a token's worth of gold. It then falls into the category of like a really meaningful decision, and you remember it. You were like, do you remember the time I paid 250,000 gold for X, Y, and Z? You remember that sort of shit. But if you buy 10 things that cost 25,000 gold each, by next week you've forgotten you've done it. This is just because our human brain is dumb sometimes. But you've spent the same amount of gold, but you've just spent it in smaller chunks. You don't have anywhere near the same negative connotations to spend. You can actually technically you can spend more as long as you get to spend it in smaller chunks, and it still won't feel anywhere near as gross. This is the exact reason why things like Netflix is a monthly subscription. Netflix could ask you to pay for 1 year, but they don't, because they can actually charge more if they only charge you monthly, because then people don't do the maths and it doesn't feel anywhere near as gross. Blizzard knows this, and Blizzard have definitely implemented this mindset when they go into the crafting professions. We saw in Dragonflight that they were super cautious to make sure that things didn't cost too much, because the wound was still wide open from Shadowlands, where people hated spending like 100k, 200k on their Lego. They hated it, uproar. And so they kind of went the extreme opposite way in Dragonflight, making sure that everything didn't get too ridiculous. I know we just spoke a couple of minutes about like the unfortunate scenarios of like 100k weapon enchants, but they were kind of like fringe systems, right? They were kind of just due to unforeseen circumstances, and actually in the case of the 100k enchants, they came in and they hot fixed it. They were like, shit, we can't have this, and they jacked up the drop rate of the glowing orbs, the titan orbs, or whatever they were called. In the War Within, they're kind of pushing the theory a little bit more that you don't have to have the best shit. The best shit is there, and if you're a swiper McSwiperson and you are willing to play the game with your credit card, you can swipe all day and you can have the best shit. But it really looks like they're pushing this kind of concept of that quality 2's okay. Quality 2's fine. You can cheap out and you can have quality 2 stuff. And if you actually look at the difference between like stats of what quality 2 and quality 3 gives you, it's marginal differences. Keyboard warriors on forums will always tell you that if it's not the best, it's dog shit, but you know full well they're the same people who go to the auction house and they're buying quality 2 as well. They're basically making it so there is a premium option if people want to spend, but they're pushing to a world where the premium option is just that. It's a premium option. If you're buying quality 3 enchants, you're buying quality 3 flasks, you're buying quality 3 gems, other people are quite quickly going to look at you and go, whale, you just swiped your credit card. If the current prices stay even remotely as ridiculous as what they are now. But we'll see how it plays out. I don't think it's strictly for the purpose of making more gold. I think it's an upsell opportunity, which in turn might probably make them more gold. It definitely promotes. It promotes more swiping. I'm quite sure, but right, the flask market seems to be a touch quieter. I say a touch quieter, I'm still selling them nearly the second I press the button, but maybe it's because I'm not actually selling anything else. Blizzard essentially gave everybody free enchanted rune crest, and a lot of people will be crafting a 619 weapon this week, which is 50 to 100k per character. That's quite, yeah, yeah. Your first hit's free, right? Here's your free trial. Now, if you wish to continue using your free trial, it's going to cost you 50 to 100k. Yeah. Just use a friend's Netflix login. I don't know if that works on in WoW. It's also the problem. For example, a cloth wearer will spend 10% of what a plate wearer will on crafted gear. I thought they'd kind of addressed that. I thought one of the reasons, and this might still have been one of the reasons, I think that one of the reasons they chose so that tailors are the only people that pick up cloth. I'm pretty convinced that was on the basis of that they wanted to bring cloth gear up in line to that of what, you know, plate and leather is. See, Leather always sits in the middle because skinning basically only provides leatherworking the ability to do its thing, right? Whereas like herbs go into herbs go into alchemy, inscription, ore goes into many things now. Partly the reason why plate is always expensive is because their materials, they're in competition with their materials with other professions. Cloth was always gathered by absolutely everybody, and so that was probably perceived as one of the reasons why it was rock bottom cheap. But apparently that's not the case. Apparently it was pretty much only the farming tailors, the 2x4 boomkins that are producing most of the cloth anyway. And it turns out they were just all going to be tailors all the same either way. So there doesn't seem to have been any shortage of cloth, even though there's the restriction that basically only tailors get cloth this expansion. You wouldn't know by looking at the prices. So I think they kind of did consider that at least. I think they considered the fact that they wanted to bring cloth gear more in line with what the rest of the stuff costs, but I don't know. Strange occurrences. This is why I love this game. It's why the economy is so interesting to play with in this game. There are actually quantifiable things, and there are non-quantifiable things that, you know, even if you think you understand something comes and just wipes you out from left wing, and you're like, okay, never saw that coming. Compared to Dragonflight, there is quite a shortage on cloth. Well, it depends how you look at it. It depends how you look at it. There's an awful lot of processing going in with cloth. I think it's probably got something to do with the fact that cloth is now a primary contributor for processing enchanting materials. So, yeah, I don't know. See, this is it, right? It doesn't matter how much you look at it, it always comes out looking different. I was never able to reset entire cloth markets in Dragonflight, even with a similar capital. Whilst that's been possible, I was talking about this on stream actually earlier today. One thing I had noticed, and it's surprised me, is I feel like there's an awful lot less of everything in the War Within, and I can't quite figure out why. It feels to me, and I don't know if it's just the fact that we lived with Dragonflight, you know, for so long, but it feels like there's a lot less of absolutely everything. Like, for these numbers, I mean, admittedly, these are crafted items right now. If we go more into the reagents, these numbers particularly are what I would have normally considered single realm quantities back in, like, say, Shadowlands in some cases. Like, I remember very clearly turning up on one mid-tier server of mine and buying significantly more heavy callous hide than what is currently available for the entire region 2 expansions later. That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense at all. It feels like there's definitively way less of just everything, and I can't figure out why. Callous hide PTSD. Oh dear. A lot of people really, really don't like the new profession stuff, so maybe they don't even want to farm stuff. Possibly. Possibly. Very, very plausible. I don't really know what... I don't, like I said, I can't really put my finger on why, but it feels weird. Less bots equals less mats. Wow. Yeah. Maybe. Maybe. We were also talking about this a little bit, how it's not a perfect scenario, but the fact that I don't know how many of you have played with a herb miner recently, but getting artisan's acuity and getting knowledge points on your herbalist and mining characters is not a walk in the park. And it can easily, at the moment, seem to take you... It can seem to take you a couple of weeks before you're got enough knowledge points and you've spent them in the right places and you've maybe bought a knowledge book or two, it feels like it still takes a couple of weeks before you're reliably seeing quality 3 materials. And even then you have to choose which material you'd like to see quality 3 of. And the ones you didn't choose, you're not getting anywhere near as many of. Which, if Blizzard can... Because obviously Blizzard doesn't ban a bot the second they see them. They pool the bad actors and then they delete them all in one go. Let's say they do that on a monthly basis. You might find... Now, this is only very hypothetical here. But you might find that the bots don't technically have enough time to ramp up and to get the good stuff. That's not to say they can't take the shit and convert it into better stuff. So they will still have some effect, but they may not necessarily be able to ramp up high enough to the point where they can actually straight up gather the good stuff. They might be significantly more suboptimal than somebody that keeps up with it. I don't know if this was kind of part of Blizzard's intention with making gathering quality 3 stuff take more of an effort. Once again, it's another theory. I don't even know whether people are getting so much gold to buy these crafts when most weapons have a crafting value of 60 to 80k. Well, those who don't play with professions are probably swiping the old credit card if they really want the gear. Because your passive gold generation is basically non-existent. I'm sure this will become a topic of conversation that's spoke about way more in the upcoming months. But sure, there's the occasional world quest that gives you like 800 gold here, there, or everywhere. But you're not really... Even dumb dragon flying races, right? Which were what, 500 gold a piece? Are like 200 gold a piece now. And they give resonance crystals as well. Like, even your quote-unquote raw gold situation, I don't know where regular players are getting their gold from nowadays. No idea. One thing I do know is those regular Joes should probably pick up herbalism and mining and do 2 hours of herbalism a week and make 100k and be good. But, I don't know. From an anecdotal experience, I was making twice the gold we're gathering in early Dragonflight, so I've dropped it very fast this time round. Okay, here's also a question for you. Have you shuffled on your gatherer this time? And have you done any gathering today? Because there was an interesting little report on WoW Economy Reddit of somebody that has shuffled. Not, we don't know to what degree, but has clearly got a lot more knowledge points than a lot of other herbalists and miners. And they're pulling nearly 6 figures an hour, which is about what top tier gatherers were able to do in Dragonflight with optimized build, with optimized routes. And maybe a little help from some dragon shards, who knows. Don't have the professions, I just flip on the auction house whilst waiting for BGQs, made about 700k. Hey, if it works, do it. Not shuffled on the gather, no, was making like 40k an hour, but I remember 100k plus in Dragonflight. Well, this is where I think the bar's risen a little bit. Plus, I also think that if you've already quit gathering, you've quit a little early. Because now the Mythic season is open. Look what's happened to the prices of herbs today. Herbs have literally doubled in price today. And I cannot foresee them going down particularly fast. With the demand on flasks and the likes. And every day that goes past, people are getting more knowledge points. People are unlocking higher tier the ability to craft more at cheaper prices and so on and so on. So I kind of suspect that if you were doing 40k an hour previously, you're probably more looking at 60, 70k an hour based on what the herbs are now at. And if you've got a build that works nicely for like a Ratha's Spear or Lure Drop, and you can get quality 3 of those herbs pretty reliably, I suspect 6 figures is not unreasonable to be able to do now, if you know what you're doing and you're focused. And I think the bars moved a little bit higher because the way to gain that advantage was to have done maybe even a modest shuffle on a gathering tune. I don't know. Been farming herb mining with 5 accounts since the expansion launch. Can confirm it gives a lot of money. Well, yeah, if you do anything, times anything by 5, it usually produces a big number, which is definitely helpful. Right, 3.3 mil. Might be time for a cancel scan. It sounds like I'm not doing much back here, though. Clearly not keeping up with this, am I? Oh my god, I've let me potions lapse even. I think I unraveled two flipping hell. I'm not doing this very efficiently at all. Plus everybody's doing Mythic Plus. Did a full route around Isle of Dawn, War Mode on, killed 12 rares. They were literally all up. 1800 rep. Yeah, like I said, up until this very moment, up until this day, we've not had Mythic Plus. We've not had, like, the highest tier of raid available. It was starting to show that there was less people farming. And I genuinely think now Mythic Plus is here, there'll be significantly less people farming. Because now people have got everything that they want to do. Most people go and do farming because they've got nothing else to do. And they're like, you know what? Instead of playing something else or throwing up Netflix, I'll just go farm some herbs. Or in fact, maybe I'll do both. Maybe I'll watch some Netflix and I'll farm some herbs. Delves clearly kept people a little bit busy, but there's a obviously clear limit to how much time people were gonna spend in delves as well. Now Mythic Plus is out as well. I'm pretty convinced the amount of people actually out there farming will drop like a rock. It does every expansion. This isn't even like hypothetical. You see it every time. Every expansion launch, you get the first couple of weeks where there's loads of herbs, loads of people are farming. It pushes the price of herbs and ore down. And then soon as all of the fun activities open up, everybody stops doing the farming and everybody goes and does the fun activities. Let's say you're actually a dedicated farmer though, but the point still stands is that maybe you do 20 hours of farming a week in the first couple of weeks, and then you take 5 hours, 10 hours of your week to go do Mythic Plus instead. You're still farming, but you're farming half as much. You're supplying half as much into the economy, and that's a relatively consistent, should we say, dedicated farmer. Let's say you're doing 2 hours of farming a day for the last couple of weeks, but now you might only do an hour of farming a day, and you might miss a couple of days where you went and did an extra couple of dungeons, you know. When you multiply that by absolutely everybody that was gathering, how many people are now going to not bother with the outer world content? Maybe they're keeping up with their rep, but that's like do a lap of world quests, maybe kill some rares. You're not circling around, you're not just milling around, you're not just lurking around the open world content so much. When you multiply that by most of the player base, it usually leads to an awful lot less supply of stuff, which if the demand is good enough can rise prices pretty heavily. Is unraveling still good? If you've got a max build tailor, yes. If you've got a max build tailor, absolutely. but you need, what did I say I'd got? Tailoring points, 180 knowledge points or something. Oh dear, please hold. Clearly done way too much talking today. Honestly, think a lot of gathering is from PvPers as they've got nothing better to do between queues. You're probably not wrong. Those poor arena queues, poor battleground queues. But also, you forget just how many people just chill out in a capital city and do absolutely nothing. Just staring into the abyss whilst they wait for a queue to pop. Or they're watching a stream, or they're watching a YouTube video or something. Literally go full on herb mining, at least for a few weeks, to be involved with them like other professions. Catch up on the professions is painful with artisan security. I was saying this before the expansion even launched. I think a dedicated herbalist and miner character that you keep up to speed with every week, and you even consider, like, on a weekly basis dropping those professions to pick up some other simple ones to farm artisan security from, namely skinning, namely maybe skinning, maybe enchanting, you know, ones that have a quick burst of knowledge points and in turn artisan security. Because you don't really lose anything by dropping herbalism and mining. You keep all of your knowledge points, you keep all of the unlocks, you keep everything. The only thing you lose is the 1 to 100 bar, which takes you, what, half an hour, 40 minutes to re-level it back up again. So you have like 1 hour of farming that's like suboptimal, but you're back to like optimal farming very quickly. So it's worth doing. I kind of coined the phrase quad gathering. We've had double gathering for like years in the game, but running a quad gatherer is I think a very valuable thing to have in your toolbox, especially whilst herb prices and ore prices are ridiculous. What's my margins on the stuff I'm selling? It's a little bit hard to tell because I keep reinvesting any gold I get into crafting more. But I'd say on my quality 3 stuff, I'd stocked up on this before the prices of herbs got too ridiculous. So I think I'm looking at about 15, maybe even 20% on my quality 3 flasks. My quality 2 flasks and my other components are a little bit lesser margin, but it's I pretty much don't bother if it's less than 10%. So when I can maintain 3 mil gold an hour, at least a token or 2 an hour right now. Does that 10% include auction house cut? when you're selling at turnover rates like this, you don't worry about auction house cut. You should, because it adds up really fast, but I don't really know. This is the point, right? I don't really know, because my gold is going up and down like a yo-yo. My gold graph goes up when I finally decide I'm done and I stop selling everything. But right now, pretty much everything I sell, I use that capital to then go and buy more materials and craft more and do it bigger and bigger and bigger until I get really bored, and then you liquidate everything and then you see how much gold you have. My TSM graph looks absolutely bonkers right now. It's just spiky all over the place. You know, there was lots of dips for a couple of weeks whilst we were getting the professions all set up and shuffled and stuff, and now it's starting to go up, and then I buy a bunch of shit and then it goes up again, and more importantly, I don't even think my TSM graph is that accurate right now. I'm not sure it's logging all the sales, if I'm honest. If you do quad gathering, you could do the crafting order quests through Dragonflight Crafts as well. It's another 85 acuity a week. Wait, hang on. The order quests through Dragonflight Crafts. Wait, there's no way the Dragonflight stuff gives you Artisan's acuity as well, does it? I'm pretty sure you meant to say the War Within there. It does not say that you need the War Within crafts. Oh, I see. Doing Dragonflight recipes. Well, if you've dropped the profession, if you've picked the professions up brand new, you might not have it so easy because you've dropped the profession. You know. Get the quest at skill 1. Are you able to still just like go buy the shit off the auction house, hand it straight in? Are you sure that's not giving you Artisan's metal though? I've not tried it. It wouldn't surprise me. Oh, you mean the crafting order quests? Oh, well, I just usually falsify those with an alt anyway. I just send a cheap old order to myself to do those most of the time. Half the time they're actually filled by patron orders that I'm completing passively anyway. If I'm already completing patron orders, then that quest just kind of accidentally fixes itself. But yeah, your concept as a gatherer, realistically, is to do as much as you possibly can without it technically costing you gold. Because, of course, the concept and the point of that character is you trade your time to make gold, not you trade your time to lose. Like, if you're going to go that route, then you just do crafting full stop. The reason you're doing gathering for the most part. And I'm not so convinced that the extra artisan security and the extra tools and stuff makes anywhere near as much difference as people would probably believe it does with gathering. I think the simple science of just do another hour of gathering will probably make up for it if you don't. But when you can get, 50k an hour, if doing a bit of a light shuffle each week can then push it to like 60, 70k an hour, it's still worth doing, for sure. But in Dragonflight, gathering kind of went under the radar. I don't think it's going to go under the radar quite as much in the War Within. But what you find a lot more is content creators like myself or Zanzaful or like K-Chak or the Lazy Goalmaker or a multitude of others. Right, you'll often find that they more focus on the crafting side of stuff because it's what they enjoy. The farming side of stuff kind of goes. You get your basic clickbait YouTube farm guides, but they're usually not like. They're just YouTube clickbait farm guides. They're not the same, There's usually not too much meat in those videos. It's kind of all fluff. Right, we need to get a little bit more aggressive on our posting here. Been slacking. We need to get those dings dinging. Got to get the dings dinging. Got to keep this number at least above 3. I was doing 3 million gold an hour last night. I should be doing more tonight. Maybe I've hit the invisible glass ceiling for my for what I'm crafting. Maybe those last few skill levels from the tools and things like Tailoring Racial will help the percentage for the rank 3 herbs. Maybe, yeah, maybe. Much like crafting, it's quite simple when you break it down. The person that has the most stats usually wins. If you have the most knowledge points, you usually have better margins. If you've had or had access to more artisan security, you probably can craft better things. If you have more agility, strength, intellect, you probably do more DPS. It's pretty simple at the core. Knowledge point catch-up is kicked in after the reset. Yeah, people have started to see the flickers on their work orders, their patron orders. I weirdly got one on my tailor earlier, which surprised me, because my tailor was one of the last characters I expected to get any catch-up on, because that tailor is bleeding edge min-maxed. So, I'm not entirely convinced how reliable as a catch-up system it's going to be. If it might allow you to get close to the top guys, but I don't think it's going to make too much difference if the top guys have already been top guys for a while. This discussion's been rolling in the Discord a little bit today. And I've kept an eye on it, and I've read in, and I've dipped my 2 cents in, but I think there's a lot of people that have tried to push into the quality 3 markets, because myself and many other people talked about them a lot in the beta. But the reason we talked about them a lot was because it was exactly the kind of stuff that we were planning to do anyway. And we were more figuring out via the beta how to do it, when to do it, what was the optimal way to do it. And so just by proxy, there was a lot of talk about quality 3 markets and pushing towards them. Now, what this has probably led to is an awful lot of people also trying to push into the quality 3 markets. But like most of crafting, those that get there first get the luxury of setting what that market looks like for everybody else that follows them. And it was slightly problematic unlocking quality 3 markets so quickly. You could technically, if you were really pushing, you could have got your full shuffle done like the day after early access finished. The second we got patron orders, there was practically enough artisan security on the table, if you really wanted to have gone and got 1,500, 1,600 artisan security and be then basically max build. Now, obviously, you might have had a little bit of trouble finding people to craft your tools day one. You might not necessarily have had the knowledge points, but the concept was that you would have still been able to have got the artisan security side of the problem fixed, done. Then all you need to do is make sure you keep up to date with your knowledge points and you're good, right? You're good. You could do that very quickly, but it was very expensive to do. The problem with that was that nobody wanted the quality 3 stuff for quite some time. And even now, right? Now we can tell, even today when Mythic is now open, you can clearly tell that the demand for the top tier quality 3 stuff is nowhere near as strong simply because it's stupid money, massively expensive. So that unlocking the quality 3 markets hasn't been anywhere near as lucrative as we probably suspected they could have been. But the people that have got there quickly have still done fine. But I think there's a category of players that have pushed towards this and not got there, or they've made mistakes with their knowledge point trees, or for whatever reason they've done it slowly and are only just getting there now, and are, like they've spent all this time, they've spent all that gold, they've spent all that effort, and they expect to be a massive pot of gold at the end. And then they've noticed that quality 3 crafts, if you buy your materials the same day, are basically single-digit profit margins. And they've gone, well, this wasn't fucking worthwhile, was it? Which is a fair assumption to have come to. But I'm not necessarily sure it's a fault with the system, much as I think it was... Or should I say it's at the very least as much of an issue for the people who went into something very risky, very expensive, and also went into it probably very underprepared to do it. It's like everybody talking about running the London Marathon, for example, and you're sat there going, oh yeah, the London Marathon, that sounds cool. But you don't do any training for the London Marathon. You just turn up on the day and you're like, oh yeah, I'll just casually run the London Marathon. And then 12 miles in, you are literally gasping for air. You stumble across the finish line 8 hours later. You might have crossed the finish line, and you turn around and you're expecting to get like a massive, great big applause and go and get your gold medal and your pot of prize winnings. But the reality is you finished basically last and everybody else has gone home already. It feels a lot like that, if I'm honest. It feels like a lot of people tried to run the race but didn't do any training before so. Now, a system like that is easy to argue that probably shouldn't exist in a video game because it's kind of harsh, but I don't know what the solution is. I don't know. I don't even know if there needs to be a solution, but fun fact, I maxed my blacksmith one day before you with no shuffle at all. Crafting order luck is bonkers. Yeah. Yeah, there were some markets, some professions where the actual artisan security shuffle wasn't really that advantageous. Because if you were capped on knowledge points, what you try to do is you try to min-max what the bottleneck is. And and this is why it's kind of the same with alchemy a little bit. The bottleneck wasn't artisan security for a lot of markets. The bottleneck was actually getting the knowledge points in the first place. And that was significantly more time gated. You would obviously need to get enough artisan security to be able to get your artisans to get like the 900 for the books or whatever. But there was definitely some professions where doing the shuffle was way less useful than it was for others. Without a shadow of a doubt. Somewhat frustratingly, one of the best professions to have probably done it with would have probably been enchanting. Not enchanting, inscription, sorry. But I messed up my scribe, so that didn't work very well. But, yeah. It's all in the past now. If you don't have the funds to go for something fast, go for something safe. True. True. This is why I think there's a lot of popularity at the moment with the concentration bills. K-Chak's done a good job of like highlighting quite a few of them by this point, showcasing that if you've got a bunch of alts, you can pretty much recuperate any cost of setting up that alt almost instantly, which means from that point on, you're just kind of like, you're just, you know, anything that you make with that character, you can afford to then spend on keeping it up to speed. I'm really running out of shit though, aren't I? I've got these quality 3 flasks and that's not too many of these left. Why is my Carapace backed hide selling all of a sudden? What's changed to make me start selling that all so quickly? It also doesn't sound like much is going on back here either. I'm doing really badly at keeping up with smushing all of this cloth. I've played the game too much today, I'm tired. Margins are too small for inscription. You need to craft a lot and wait for the mark. Well, yeah, obviously now, yeah. Yeah, now, absolutely. But the first week or two... One of the best professions to do is cut to ads. Well, it was inscription. But at the same time, it's kind of like, was it not? Missives, for example, for crafting tools could have been an absolutely bonkers market early days if you'd like got quality 3s of those super duper mega fast. That would have definitely been worth a shuffle in my opinion, because you'd literally be selling to other goblins, and that's always guaranteed money, because goblins who are pushing usually don't care. You'd literally be selling to other shuffling goblins, those that wanted the missives for their tools, for example. So that potentially, hindsight is wonderful, obviously, but would have potentially been a market that I would have more focused on with inscription. But I didn't rate inscription particularly highly going into the expansion in the first place, so it was nowhere near. It was not in the top half of my profession priority. And then I went and ballsed it up by placing my points in the wrong place, but whatever. How many alts do I have? Oh, I don't have anywhere near as many alts as people expect I do. And I'm not even using any of them currently. I've got, I don't know, 30, 35 level 70s. I've got my 5 level 80s. I've pretty much exclusively played on... I've probably only played on 9 or 10 characters so far in in the War Within. 1 major crafting profession on 8 separate characters. My main hunter. And then a gathering character. So 8, 9, 10, plus this bank character, if that counts. I knew I wasn't going to do any particularly heavy alt army stuff for a while. Way too focused on pushing the main crafting professions first. Got into the tools, made tens of millions when the auction house froze. Yeah, there was that huge blast of people making profession tools in the first few days. That's another example of goblins selling to goblins. Those who made the green profession tools in the first few days made out like absolute bandits. Because you could start making those things like quality 3, quality 4, quality 5, selling them at like 15k a piece, almost without any issues at all. Wait, really? Is that all I'm cancelling? Are we that short on stock already?
Go in peace.
Have I somehow magically burnt through everything? When the auction house was starting to freeze, I bought all the mats, crafted all the tools, and sold with like 30% undercut, but the profit was still like 10k per tool. And then it froze, so nobody could undercut my hundreds of tools. Fair. Does that literally say 500,000 gold? Did somebody come along and like literally clean out? That's quite funny. Oh shit, we're at gold limit. Whoops. Well, I guess I'll have to stay in the mailbox then. Pick that up tomorrow.
Well met.
You could undercut, you just had to guess the price. Yeah, those few days where the auction house completely died was wild. I did not enjoy trying to buy materials during that period. It was not fun. Nor did I enjoy trying to sell anything back on the auction house. Any idea why I can't see personal orders on my tailor? The icon is there showing I've placed them, but not seeing them on the tab. No clue. Do a reload. Someone's just come by and hoovered up all my flasks. Not hoovered up all of mine. What flasks are we talking? 20k of these sat on the auction house now. These have been pretty stable most of the evening. I'm not even keeping track of the other ones, to be honest. I'm only keeping an eye on the markets that I'm actually in. I'm trying desperately to not get distracted by too many squirrels because, I mean, this is the list of things that over the last couple of days I have crafted and I have sold. And this list is already big enough as far as I'm concerned. I don't need to get distracted by too much more. Personal craft orders are double bugged on one of my tunes. Oh, maybe it's not just a you thing then. Is it just that we've got a massive cluster of sales at some point? Because it doesn't feel... Okay, yeah, this massive cluster of sales down here is what's distorting my hourly number. Give it 3 minutes for those to fall off the list. The last hour's not actually been... The last 50 minutes has not really been super lucrative. At least we've got some bolts being made in the background. We've got plenty of spools to turn into actual bolts in a minute. At this point, I'm mostly in let's start recrafting and planning for tomorrow's blast. That said, there's usually a point... What time is it now? It's just gone 10 PM. There's usually a point in about 2 hours' time where everybody falls out of the raid. And then you have this massive surge of activity on the auction house. Presumably of people that they're taking their raid gear. It might be the first gem, it might be the first enchant surge. Although there'll have been a little bit of that with people getting their vault earlier, but Don't forget the auction house was almost not functional for like 1.5 weeks or so. People spent so much time and effort, time and gold, just to find out it was for nothing. Oh, what, we were talking about the start of the War Within. Yeah, the first week or so was a bit ropey. I'm actually really I'm really glad that it's working smoothly now. You kind of take it for granted when it works well. You kind of don't think about it too much, because it was also somewhat slightly frustrating how it crashed and burnt right at the period in time where people were like finishing their shuffles. They were getting first to markets in certain stuff, and then the auction house just died. That was rough. But yeah, it's still nice and snappy now. Invested about 60 mils for shuffling 32 alts to get almost all markets day 5. Then the auction house was dead. Not sure how to summarize it. Yeah, that's a touch frustrating for sure. Okay, my chaos flasks seem to be doing alright again. What's going on here? Once again, they're selling nearly as fast as I list them. There's part of me that almost doesn't want to continue pushing to sell these now. There's part of me that wants to hold on to these to see what happens with the flask prices tomorrow. Because having looked at the herb prices, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to sell a lot of stuff today. And just, well, I say this on the basis that if I've done it, other people have definitely done it. I think there'll be a lot of people that will look at the price of herbs tomorrow to go do some recrafting, and their jaw will hit the floor when they realise that you cannot get your hands on a quality 3 herb for like... What's the average price of a quality 3 herb? 3, 6, let's call it 7, 13, 14, 15 divided by... It's about 400 gold is the average price for a quality 3 herb. I mean, excluding Mycobloom, that doesn't count. But with a 400 gold average price, that's actually mental. For when people come back to restock and they look at what their new crafting price is. Sheesh. I might have to question how much I stock up tomorrow. Imagine also being banned for 4 days only because you were online with more toons when you completed 1 or 2 quests with a toon. Well, that's also true. 4-day vacation doesn't hurt. 4-day vacation is fine. Slap on the wrist. Maximum amount already posted? That doesn't sound right. Wait. Hello? Oh no. Okay, maybe this maybe the surge on flasks is done. Maybe we let the market chill for an hour or so. What we got going over here? Plenty of spools. Slightly short on moss wool thread, me believes. That was probably not the smartest button to press right now. Oh, it will do. Really? Is that still less than 2,000 bolts? Sheesh. At least this one, we can turn around and we can just go, craft all! Go at it. Yeah, go gadget go. Yeah, there's that kind of there's that little period where most people are actually off doing their raiding, where it goes a little bit more quiet. Good opportunity to go either recraft some stuff or cash out and see where you stand. Let me in the guild, please. It's easier if you... On this character, you're just going to have to whisper me what your... Because for some reason, the stupid game won't allow me to set my own alts as officers in the guild. You can whisper Sydney Sausage. Let me make this easier. Let me jump onto my actual... Welcome in, Bear. Good evening, good evening. Still at 200 mil, but compared to expectations, it's nothing. You win some, you lose some. I know that's probably not necessarily what you want to hear. I guess it's also more frustrating when it happens and it's outside of your control. You know, the auction house doing stupids. Oh my gold. Oh my gold. Is this the right door? Oh my god, I'm doing that too fast. You're gonna have to give me a second. Bear, you might want to whisper me from your in-game character that you want an invite to, rather than BNet. Then I can invite you straight in. Oh, shit. We're getting quite the roster on the go now. Oh, my guild finder post expires. Let's get that re-upped. Can I set my own alts as... Is it going to let me set my own alts as officers yet? It'll make it so much easier to invite people. Hey, it's finally going to let me actually set my alts as officers. I mean, I can do all of this. Okay, actually, why don't we just do it like this? Right, now, at least that should mean I can invite anybody when I'm on any of my characters. Oh, yeah, sorry, I've just switched my character. I'm now on Manthe. Sorry. I told you to whisper me and then I logged off. That's clearly my fault. Whoops. So rude. So rude. It is what it is, but I'd say it's still a good position to be in. Yeah, I mean, I technically haven't actually made any gold so far in the War Within, or at least I don't think I have. I'm pretty sure if I was to cash out everything War Within, I would have a bigger number than it was before. Oh, your Filthy Alliance. Ha! Okay, sure. Hang on. Hang on. That should help you. Filthy Alliance. Oh my god. Unbelievable alliance. Hey, we're getting there. 264 people. Guild's starting to fill up. Once everything stops getting quite so ridiculously crazy, and I have a little bit more time to just tinker and do stuff, I might hopefully have a little bit more time to get this up and running in a bit more of a organised fashion. You know, like actually assign some proper roles and stuff. There's clearly a lot of alts in here. But I'm also quite surprised to see just how many level 80s are in here as well. So, that's cool to see. A few bank characters, clearly. But, it's good to see. Shit, what was I doing? I totally don't know.
Be careful.
I'll just have to leave the gold in the mailbox. I haven't got room for it right now. Yeah, actually looking at it, I've purged through a huge amount of my stock. So by the time the auction house empties out, I don't know. I don't know. Is this a dangerous statement? There's part of me that wonders if I stocked up too heavy on these Q3 flasks. I'm not particularly in any rush to sell them, but like, I still have nearly 7 mil of these flasks in stock. Whereas everything else has just absolutely blown out the doors. My theory with this, I don't think that the herb prices are going to stop, because from what I've seen, the sale rate on quality 2 flasks is bonkers. I have had no issues selling through my quality 2 stock. None whatsoever. Now, if I've had no problem selling it, other people are equally going to have no problem selling it. And when they come to restock and they see the prices of herbs, they're going to come back in tomorrow and they're going to be overcutting. I think the price of quality 2 flasks and probably potions, is it tempered potions? I think quality 1 and quality 2 potions. Oh, no S. I think there's a huge amount of room for these to move in price. These had a crafting cost of somewhere around 100 gold a piece only 2 days ago, if I remember correctly. I don't look at the potion market too heavily. Now, there is 93,000 available, to be fair, but they sell probably 10 times as fast as flasks. Because somebody strolls in and they just buy a stack. Because the last thing you want is to run out of a potion mid-run, you know? Do you have any build for the chat window? I can't even read the text, it goes so fast. Get rid of services for starters. Services is a big... Oh, you can't see that. It's beyond my camera, of course. Get rid of services. Put services in its own window. Put trade in its own window. When you actually put trade in its own window, it's more manageable. What you can technically do is you could undock it completely.
Goodbye.
Where did it go? You could completely undock trade chat, for example, and just make it wham. So you can at least see more. If you have just trade chat, yeah, it's still bonkers mind, but I don't do anything with trade chat. I think this is complete cancer, so I completely ignore it completely. They go in their own separate windows, or on some characters I just turn them off completely. But if you need to be scouring through this to try and find work orders, I mean, it is just the definition of 2006 chat room spam. It's just gross. I can't get across how much I dislike that this is the way that you have to get shit made these days. It's such a, you know, considering how sophisticated the rest of the system is, this feels like, I don't know. It feels like trying to fix a spaceship with a spoon, you know?
Greetings, traveler.
Oh, I can't stop pressing the button. I have this affliction. I must sell. Is there any character I didn't do my patron orders on earlier? I'm pretty sure I did it on most of them. Is there any market people want me to deep dive in? Even if it's not what I'm particularly present in, I can try and... In fact, I need another look at leatherworking. Leatherworking went mental earlier, and I didn't do anything with leatherworking because it went mental. Just one more ka-ching. There it is. Somebody bought the entire fucking stack. Let me do it again. Yeah, see, this is the thing, right? I have to sell 20 rank 2 flasks, and I still make more by selling 5 Q3 flasks. The spaceship as Windows 3.1 as the OS. Yep, that's what trade chat feels like. Genuinely what it feels like. I'll go play that game. I'll play that game once it's not flipping, you know, once it has a Windows update. How about that? Right, what we got going on over here? Are these looking more sensible? Okay, it's more sensible now the price of Carapace and Thunderous Hides have come back into normality. That's a bait price though, right? That's not a bait price. This character's got 2,500 gold. We ain't doing it in any time soon with 2,500 gold. Hang on. Preparation. So these markets are less ridiculous than they were. I know I can sell carapace backed hides literally till the cows come home. We can make the cheaps. Cheap cheaps are pretty cheap. Do we make some cheaps? What about some no cheaps? We can do no cheaps. It's not a huge amount of wiggle room in that. Not a huge amount of wiggle room. I also need to be slightly careful that this is starting to creep. That feels remarkably like a reset price, not a general price. So I would probably want a touch more margin out of that, if possible. Okay. They're also still technically too cheap to really throw mirror powders at them. There's no shenanigans with the quality 3 ones either, even though you overshoot the skill by flipping miles. What's my spec trees got to say? Oh, BIS build, of course. Oh no, now I've broken it. Hang on. Oh, there we go. Better. I don't want to crowbar my way into a market. Wait, what's going on here? Yeah, I thought it was much bait prices. This is why you never trust add-ons. Which add-on shows the item level of the gear on the icon in the bags? Oh, it's just the bag add-on in general. It's Bagnator, I think. Pretty sure it's Bagnator. Forgot to pick up my weekly profession quest, filled all of my patron orders. I've done that a few times. Yep. Happens to the best of us. I'm not sure I want to crowbar my way into that market, but the question is there money to be made further up the tree? If there's more money to be made further up the tree, then it's worth doing. We can break even on the price of the carapace backed hide if we can make it back further up the tree. Crystal fused hides don't look too tragic. Ley fused hides are probably not going to look great because ley line residue is mental. Wait a second. Hello? Alright, something fishy's going on here. Who's doing market manipulation things? Who's doing shenanigans? Yeah, that's a reset price if ever I've seen one. What's its actual going rate? 12.50. Yeah, that's more what I suspected. Okay, shenanigans at play. We'll play some shenanigans, why not? A mill. Oh, I'm out of gold. Hang on. Whoops. What do you do when somebody posts a huge stock with a big undercut? Still sell at a loss to liquidate or wait it out? Just overcut. Just ignore their listing. Just post above them. If it's that cheap, it'll sell out and yours will get there. Yeah, just let it live out. Bone shards. We don't actually need 5,000. 3. Let's just buy 4,000. And we'll figure out where we go next. Oh shit, no, I've already got... Oh well, whatever, I've pressed the buttons now. Moss wool thread times 5,000. Let's make sure I don't get this wrong. You and you. I would love to cheap out somewhere somehow, but I've never figured out a way to cheap out in this market. It just is what it is. Go, I suppose. Oh, that's not going to be a pretty sight. No, that's going to scare you if you lot see that. Ignore that one. Wild Gold Queen appears. Welcome in. Good evening. Alloys. Nullstone. 5/8. 14,000 nullstone. It's not a lot. That quantity's halved. More than halved this evening. Without anybody doing anything about it. I mean, which means this entire market is like primed. Logan Paul level primed. For a cheeky... Whoops. If this wasn't here at 7.5... The 7,000, sorry, the 730 at 7.5k here. Like, if that person cancelled theirs off, because it's clearly just one dude. If somebody took those off the market, somebody'd flip this to 15k. I'm not saying I'd do it, but somebody'd flip that to 15k if those weren't there. Because I've thought for days, there's no reason Sanctified Alloys at quality 3 are that cheap. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Like, you want there to be a price difference between quality 2 and quality 3. It doesn't make sense to spend that much on producing these. With nullstones at like, what's tinderboxes at? Nearly 10k a piece still. Tinderboxes are like an odd one, you know. I'm so baffled by these. I was pretty convinced it was a bubble, but clearly there wasn't as many people squirreling them away as maybe I thought, or maybe maybe people are so diamond hands on them that they're still, or maybe they've trickle sold them back out. Maybe we are going to see a shortage in a day or two's time. Who knows? They weren't the explosive 30k that some people were guessing, though. That's not to say it won't happen. I guess it's still early. Can we use any enchant to our profession equipment? For example, I'm a blacksmith. I already applied an enchant to the hammer. Can I apply an enchant to the others? No. No, the only customization is on the tool. So you can use a missive to determine what stat it has, and you can then use an enchant to basically give it more resourcefulness. I will argue you till the cows come home on the inspiration enchant. That's it, just being wrong. So there's in my eyes, there's really actually only one enchant. It's the resourcefulness one. Right, quick bathroom break. Back in 2. Oh. For concentration build, is it better to use ingenuity or resourcefulness? My take on this is it's still resourcefulness, and I'll explain why. Resourcefulness is a direct reduction to your crafting cost, converting directly into more profit. What you might eventually be able to do with ingenuity is press the button more frequently, but it's not going to have any direct impact to your crafting cost or your profitability. Now, concentration builds, the concept of them is you keep shit as cheap as you possibly can get it. That's the reason why you use quality 2 materials, to make the best quality stuff you possibly can. You're trying to make the biggest delta you possibly can between what it costs you to make it and what you can then sell it for. You use as much of your concentration as possible to fill that gap. Now, the way that ingenuity works is, unless you heavily spec into ingenuity, which is counterproductive to a
Let's make sweet,
concentration
sweet
build,
profit together.
it's counterintuitive because the very small amount of knowledge points you probably acquire on that character are going to go into more useful things. So you're not going to fully spec ingenuity. The reality is that you're going to end up with you're going to end up, if you use ingenuity, you're going to need to proc it twice before you can even press the button once more. Now, it's not even guaranteed to proc twice a week, right? When you think about it, right? Think how many times you actually have to press it before it does its thing. Most people, even when using ingenuity, have like 13, 14, 15, maybe at the top 20%, right? That still means when you're only pressing the button once a day, it might take you an entire week before ingenuity has actually saved you enough so that you can press the button once again. Resourcefulness, on the other hand, is more likely to proc, and every time it does proc, it's saving you something. It's a tangible saving every single time it works. And more importantly, it's going to save you costs at a period of time in the game where the costs are at their highest. So think about that for a second. The beginning of an expansion, prices are mental. Quality 3 is really expensive. Quality 2's reasonable. But the difference between the two is your profit. You want to make sure that you make as much profit as fast as you possibly can. Pressing the button once more, maybe, if you're lucky, a week, doesn't sound like a great thing to do, in my opinion. But speccing into resourcefulness instead, which is likely to give you a tangible saving every time it does proc, and is actually more likely to proc more frequently than ingenuity, is probably mathematically a win. But it's kind of 50-50 with concentration builds, and reality is that most people won't notice much of a difference. All I know is that the difference between quality 2 and quality 3 in terms of price is going to shrink over time. And it will eventually come to the point that you would have wished that you made more of a profit in the early days when the profit was good. And that's what resourcefulness will, in theory, do, I think. That's why I still think that resourcefulness, even on concentration builds, is the right way to go. Because it's an actual tangible saving. But TED Talk over. Whoa, welcome in, my man, for 27 months. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Hope your evening's good as well. We're just selling stuff. Not anywhere near as fast as I'd like to, but we're selling stuff. Blizzard should hire Manthe to design the perfect. No. I have the advantage of I can look at a system once it's been designed by somebody else, and I can critique the system, and I can analyze the system, and I can draw conclusions on the current system, but I do not have a creative bone in my body, so I would not be particularly good at initially creating the system in its infancy. That would not be me. Works kicking my bum. Just a quick visit to check in with the madness. Damn, IRL can do that, but hope you get at least some time to chill and play some games. There's also the problem of having to keep track of alts who've actually procced ingenuity if you only plan on doing it every 3.5 days, say, or twice a week. And those that didn't, you would actually lose out potentially on the proc. That's equally a very good point. You know, it's a banked saving every time it does proc. Unless you're one of the very few professions that you can spec into ingenuity, which actually returns 100% and would allow you to just straight up press the button again. But more often than not, I think I still have this, and it's mostly it's not just based on theory. There's also an element of maths behind it. I haven't physically done the maths to prove it, but I'm pretty sure that at least 90% of the time, ingenuity is just worse for you in total. Because think about it this way, ingenuity never saves you anything. There's never a saving to it. Multicraft is a saving because it literally gives you shit for free. You can't make more of a saving than free. So most people are quite clear. Most people have it quite clear in their mind that multicraft is clearly the best stat we have right now. If something can multicraft, well, if the game gives you shit for free, you can't argue with free. Resourcefulness and ingenuity, people are a little bit more torn on. But, you know, if resourcefulness procs, you get some of your materials back. You still had to potentially buy those materials and spend them. But either you can then take those materials and use them, put them towards your next craft, or you can just sell those materials again. Sell those materials and the thing that you crafted. So you get the profit, you get the cost of that material back directly in gold that way. Or, like I said, you save it till the next day and you use it again. Meaning you have to spend less on your materials next time. So regardless to how you look at resourcefulness, it saves you something every time it procs. Ingenuity is never saving you anything. It's not adjusting your costs in any way, shape, or form. All it's allowing you to do is periodically press the button again. But you still have to pay to press that button. So you're still subject to whatever profit you get at that point. Ingenuity saves you something, though. Saves you concentration. Dupes your crafts. Well, no, not really. It would be the case. Okay, this is where it gets a little bit more nuanced, because if you could actually stack ingenuity to a reasonable number, it would... Ingenuity's actual power, to give it a term, its power exponentially increases the more of it that you have. So when you only have like 10 to 15, maybe 20%, only is it going to proc 1 in 5 times you press the button. And usually it's only going to refund you like 50% of your concentration. So it technically needs to craft... It needs to proc twice before you get a freebie, right? So you would arguably need... Let's say multi-craft only gave you 1 extra thing every time. You would need twice as much ingenuity for it to outpace multi-craft. But multi-craft actually has the ability to proc more than 1 extra item, so it instantly makes it significantly more valuable. Ingenuity would get really interesting if it got like 50, 60, 65%. If you could actually get ingenuity to proc consistently, you would then fall into the category where you could get inspiration to proc on inspiration procs. So the freebie proc could then give you ingenuity again. Super unlikely to happen when the numbers are so small. But if the numbers were much bigger, if your chance to proc ingenuity was much higher, let's say we even got it as far as like 35, 40%, then it starts to become a little bit more questionable. But the reason that you usually cannot get much more ingenuity than you can get any of the other stats makes it basically third in line every time. Literally every time. PSA, don't log out. Something is going on with the servers. I disconnected whilst dragon riding. Error retrieving character list. Exited. Logged back in. No characters at all on any of my realms. Oh dear, that definitely sounds like a server issue. Let's hope that there's not anything too serious going on behind the scenes with that one. Mega lag in the deeps. Okay, don't log out. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. No panic. Server hamsters are tired. Yeah, they've been running at more than full speed for quite a while, I think. Way more than full speed. Holy shit, what happened to our sails? We took our foot off the gas, clearly. You guys got me talking about stupid inspiration. That's ingenuity. That's what it was. Wait, Flask of Alchemical Chaos is now up to 800 gold apiece? Has somebody done a cheeky swooparoop on that as well, even? Okay. just logged out and the launcher has started patching something, maybe a hotfix. Okay, interesting. Can't see characters even after patch. Oh dear, oh dear. Somebody alt F4'd. Somebody broke it. Somebody deleted system 32. Reset the auction house. They can't log in, crafters. That's true goblin brain. Quick, reset everything. I wonder what the player numbers are since the War Within started. Seems a lot higher than normal start with the start of expansion surge. I don't know. It's a good question. It's a good question. They do such a good job of kind of hiding the numbers these days. Feel like the conversation about which is better is kind of impossible. At the moment, they seem incredibly close in value on alt army concentration builds. Yeah, see, this is the thing. I'm in very specific low effort builds. It is marginal. It's marginal either way, and the concept is that you're like. The whole concept of the low effort builds is that you're not putting much effort into it. Like you can't put no effort into it and then hyper min max what stats you go for. Like you either put no effort in or you put lots of effort in. Like it is a bit of an oxymoron in that regards. This is why I think for the purpose of low effort concentration builds, you do whatever. Like it's really not going to make that much difference at the end of the day. You could probably throw a math session at it and sort of definitively prove X or Y, but like at the end of the day, who cares? As long as you're able to log in occasionally, take some rank 2 mats, craft something at rank 3, and sell it for more, I don't think people care. Like as long as there's some profit, people will take the some profit. But it just kind of grates me a little bit when some people come in and say, no, ingenuity is still the best stat. And I'm like, you are mental. Hang on, I can't hear anything going on back here. Oh, okay, we finally finished crafting all of these. I say finally, our resourcefulness procs seem to work pretty well here, actually. We've got nearly 70 more crafts that we can make with resourcefulness, so why not? Go, gadget, go. Where are all of these? Now, my question is do I convert any of these into the fancy leathers, or do we just bang them straight out as is? I guess there's only one answer really, and that's check the auction house, isn't it? I do have a bunch of different materials lying about to convert some if we need to. If you have a low crafting cost and have high rank 3 values, ingenuity wins, because savings in this case are basically nothing. It's better to have that occasional additional craft instead of small savings, but of course if crafting costs are high, it's then different. See, this is it. Like it's also very easy to nuance the conversation. So you know, people do like concentration builds, do as you please. But my take on it is you just I personally just ignore ingenuity. I basically pretend it doesn't exist. I don't put knowledge points in it. I don't care about it on my tools. Never. I will always go resourcefulness. Has DB region sale average disappeared from anybody else's TSM data or tooltips? Half my operation are based on it, and it's screwing me up. A bunch of stuff is missing from TSM tooltips. Huge amount of stuff. Yes. I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but the TLDR is yes. Let me double check the Discord and see if there's anything quoted. There is some chatter. It's apparently going to be fixed soon, TM. They know of it and they'll... Well, the exact quote is this will be fixed in the next daily run. So there is some tooltip issues and there's clearly some markets that are not doing what you'd expect them to, but it will be fixed. They know about it. Doesn't matter, we can't log in. Well, that's true. If you can't get in, that's a different problem entirely. Could I share my TSM posting and cancel macros? You set it up directly within the app. If you do /TSM, there's a macro section that allows you to bind it to mouse wheel. It technically makes a macro, but it does it through the settings. All right. Now to see if there's any value in converting any of these into the higher tier ones. If there's an add value to these, we'll do it. And we also probably want to double check that it's not a bait, that these have just been reset recently or something. 1200 seems relatively stable on those. There's a little bit of cash monies in making some of those. We'll do some crystal fused hides then. I probably need some more crystalline powder in that case then. Lay fused hide. This was the one that caught my interest earlier because it seems to be absolutely ludicrous right now and I don't know why. Probably ley line residue doing a number. We got 200. We probably need 300 more. Spore coat hide. Similar position. Bit of multi-craft procs. Will get us a few bonus. Help keep our costs down a touch. Viridescent spores seem reasonably priced, and anything reasonably priced today scares me. Reasonably priced is scary. Alright, we'll take it. Writhing hide. Oh shit, I've just realised I've unlocked the ability to do the magic with writhing hides, haven't I? Yeah, what I didn't do is I didn't make any quality 2 carapace backed hides. So let me ever so quickly steal one of these. Just because it's easier than using sim mode. Actually, let's be careful, that's fine. So we now make quality 2s of these. Interesting. Okay. You know how sometimes you look at things and you question whether they're legit? There's no way that works. There's no way that works. I mean, I'll take it. Writhing samples. Okay. Chat, give me financial advice. Should I buy the Sunless Carapace and convert it to Q3? Oh, is Q2 less than like a fifth of the price of the Q3? Yeah, that probably happens a lot, you know. You just got to be careful about auction house fees. If you can then do something with a Carapace hide once you've got it to Q3, if you then can funnel it through a tailor, maybe. But that is still probably not sound financial advice. I'm out of mosswool thread again. How is that possible? Just give me all the mosswool thread. Fill the bags with mosswool thread. Cannot get enough of the stuff. I didn't buy any flipping cheapity cheaps. That was a boo-boo, wasn't it? I was meant to buy cheapity cheaps. Now, why is... Okay. No amount of multi-craft is going to give me 100 from only 44 Thunderous Hides, I don't think. $17 knowledge points last week on a new enchanter as catch-up. That's pretty interesting. We need to do a bit of testing, you know. We need to poke around with this flipping catch-up system and really try and break it apart a bit. Because it intrigues me. Intrigues me exactly if we can kind of put some proper numbers to it. One advantage of me not setting up any of my alt army stuff yet is that when I actually get around to doing that, we can try and blast it and just see what happens. Also, the catch-up items give no acuity. Oh, that's interesting. I'd genuinely not even considered that. But if the catch-up items don't give you artisan security, you'll catch up on knowledge points, but not on artisan security. So questionably, are you really catching up at all? Totally scamaz. Oh dear. Oh well, we'll see. The yellow dust I got from skinning. It gave me 3 knowledge points, but no acuity. Interesting. My alts get acuity from disenchanting items. No, but the you get a base amount of knowledge points per week by disenchanting. But there's extra knowledge points you can get after the epic one if you qualify for catch up in the first place. No, not the flickers. Not the flickers that you get from patron orders. Like the catch up for enchanting. When you disenchant items. Right, we're going to make some crystal fused, weren't we? But we were doing all of this with Q3 mats. Why is this window all the way over here? Why have you gone all the way over there for some reason? Q3. 100-ish. Just make 100. Go. Do you think Blizzard should add expensive vendor components like in Shadowlands? What do you think about them implementing a recycling function for all the professions, similar to engineering? Well, quite a few kind of do. You got to think of it about how the game will play out long term. Long term, the price of quality 3 will come down. Because the price of quality 2, I'm convinced, is going to rise. The rising price of quality 2 crafts will make the delta between quality 2 and quality 3 smaller. So eventually over time, when the difference between quality 2 and quality 3 prices come closer together, people will more focus on crafting the quality 3 stuff. Which will mean there'll be more of a market for converting quality 1 and quality 2 materials into quality 3. So there's kind of this, it's a bit of a fluid effect, how like slowly but surely the economy will still push towards that world where everybody wants quality 3 and everybody uses quality 3. But the materials can always, the base materials at least, your herbs, your leather, your ore, can all technically be converted up. So that kind of removes a little bit of the need for a recycling system, because it will slowly get to a point where there'll be far less quality 1s and 2 stuff even crafted. Because as soon as it gets to the point where it's not profitable, you don't craft it, right? Quality 2 with concentration will slowly start to meet the demand, and the amount of profit that will be made by mass producing quality 3 will come down. In the long term, I don't think there's really too much of a need for too much of a recycling system, because there probably won't be too much of an overflow of trash anyway. Because the only reason there was an overflow of trash in Dragonflight was because you had to craft quality 2 to proc quality 3. And it basically meant that your quality 2 shit was just waste product. You would sell it for as much as you could sell it for, but ultimately it stacked up. And then there was a problem, it had nowhere to go. The War Within doesn't kind of work exactly the same. So I'm not really sure that there's too much need for anything like that. To come back to the original quote, what do I think about expensive vendor components? They can fuck off. I never want to see an arboreal shard ever again. That was absolute chaos. I know why they did it. It took a huge amount of gold out of the game. But I shit you not, the amount of gold that left the game during Shadowlands was bananas. Because of the pure amount of gold that flowed through the auction house. You got to remember, 5% of every single transaction just disappears out of the game. Huge amounts of gold gets deleted from the game every day from the auction house. So the amount of gold that disappears from the game through vendor reagents and stuff, the only reason vendor reagents are there for the most part is to prevent vendor shuffles. They don't want people buying the materials, converting it to an item, and then vendoring it, because that's like generating raw gold. That's direct inflation. That's really the only reason the vendor reagents exist. They're not particularly doing it so much anymore to actively take gold out of the game. The auction house does that job perfectly well. Like I said, it's mostly used as a preventative measure now to prevent vendor shuffles, really. But I'm kind of quite happy that they're way more sparing with that sort of stuff. Because it does feel a bit odd when they go over the top with it. There was a lot of things that were interesting about the Shadowlands crafting system, and a lot of things that I never want to see happen again. Most of them revolve around legendaries. Where is... Oh, there they are. We ended up with quite a few of these. Maybe I craft a few more of them. There's no point having these mats lying about. These were the resourcefulness procs. It's definitely quiet on this side of the game. Oh my god, we've sold basically nothing. I mean, I guess it's quiet because I've run out of shit to sell. To put it simply. Wild amount of quantity floating around on these. It is up by a few thousand, down by a few thousand, up by a few thousand, down by a few thousand. So fun to see. Right, writhing hides. We use Q2. Then we make quality 3 from only quality 2 components. Naturally. No concentration required. Which is odd. Where are writhing hides even used, by the way? Only a very small amount of crafting items. Maybe it's not the end of the world if we don't make too many of these then. We'll see. Those chaos flasks still don't have any problem selling though. I reckon if I actually just stood here and reposted for 2 minutes, we'd push that to a mil again. I reckon I've just been slacking. It's going. It's going. is nearly finished. Right, this was at least... What did I... how much gold did I take out the guild bank to make these? I think that's a mil, maybe 2 mil worth of stuff to sell. 20-25% margin across the board on average, I think, for that. I think. Might as well sell that as well. Get that out there. The spare mats can go into the next batch of crafts tomorrow. Moment when you see a 50k public order but don't have the node skill that gives the recipe. Yep. I mean, I must be honest, I almost entirely forget to even check for public orders. Admittedly, most of my professions are not spec'ing anything that is even remotely public order bait. I've steered so far away from anything that's considered a crafting order. I just wasn't interested. That includes profession tools, like literally everything. There was part of me, because of cross-realm guilds and setting up the guild, there was definitely part of me that considered just absolutely degenning the fuck out of anything that was profession gear on every profession tool and just inviting everybody into the guild, and I'll just craft everybody's tools for them at Q5. There was part of me that considered doing that. But, and I just harvest resourcefulness procs all day. But I thought that was the Asmund strat. Yeah, that was the thing. It felt a little bit too streamer privileges. It felt a little bit too streamer privileges. Sure, I'm providing a service if I can craft everybody's tools at Q5 for them all day long. But at the same time, there was a touch of like, is this an abuse of power or what? I'm not sure. So instead, I'm just harvesting the region-wide auction house instead. There we go. A list of stuff to sell. Oh, now I feel more comfortable. Felt icky crafting only flasks. Now we've got a bunch of stuff to sell. Labouring towards Q3 tempered potions soon. Is it 210 knowledge points on those? Only flasks, new website coming soon. Ooh, slip that cork in the bottle. Pop your top and chug. $208. Still, let's think about it. That's still technically 2 weeks away, isn't it, though, really? Or, well, there's the possibility to get it done next reset if you get both really lucky with patron orders this week and next week. You might get it shortly after next reset. Excuse me. How much am I making per 100 crafts in flasks? Ooh, specifics. I don't know. I've not really been keeping too much track of my flasks. My Q3s I know are more profitable than my Q2s. But my Q2s are flying off the shelves literally as fast as I can craft the damn things. I also crafted an awful lot of my quality 2s and quality 3 flasks, both this morning and more importantly yesterday, when the prices of herbs were more favourable. So my margin based on today's herb prices are a little bit better, but it might put me in a bit of a sticky situation tomorrow if I have to recraft at more expensive prices. But we deal with that problem when it happens. Choose it a little bit earlier with the skill items, I guess. Are even the basic ones of those not maybe even too expensive? This is kind of why I didn't push for rank 3 alchemical chaos. I kind of came to the conclusion that by the time an alchemist can actually craft this, most people don't care. I know you get potions a little bit sooner. It's going to be a few weeks after even that before anybody can mass produce alchemical chaos rank 3s. This requires, like, I think it's 240 if not 260 knowledge points, and that's before you've put points in multicraft. So it's an extra 25 points further away. It's almost 2 weeks further away if you've put points in multicraft, which at this point you're basically not producing flasks if you haven't. So if you were to really try and push to make this like world first quality 3 guaranteed crafter of this, you might get the title, but you might get the title at around the point where nobody cares, because it's still 4 weeks away before anybody's going to be doing this. And to do it first, you're sacrificing all of today's profits. So, hence why I was like, right, we'll unlock 1 flask guaranteed, and then we put all points in multicraft to be as competitive on it as we can. And if we start to slowly but surely unlock quality 3 and others, then, you know, we'll play it by ear. But I commend you for pushing for Tempered Potion rank 3. I wasn't gutsy enough to go that far. Plus, I didn't really know what patron orders were going to look like. It's so funny. Patron orders, like literally the first week, I remember turning around and saying we're getting 20 knowledge points a week from patron orders. This is crazy. And then last week, there were some people that got like 2 knowledge points all week. It's so weird. It seems to be literally everything about patron orders is random. Literally everything. Still 4k a piece. How much did we just sell that sanctified alloy for? I didn't realise I had any sanctified alloys left. 6k? Where did that even come? Oh, that was a rank 2. Ooh, I forgot I crafted those. Alright, I want to push for mill sales. And then I think I might call it a day. I'm tired. Especially since my actual crafting character's just chilling, doing nothing. I am absolutely 100% incapable of doing any multitasking at the moment, it seems. This would go with your only flasks. I'm trying so hard to resist the black hole jokes, but Is there any profit to be made in the Dark Moon sigils, or should I just go ingenuity node on my scribe now that I've finished milling in inks? What? If you finished milling in inks, your next logical move, I'm going to assume you've put points into both Pursuit of Knowledge and Pursuit of the other one. For your multi-craft and resourcefulness. You would be best off pushing into ciphers next. But I can't possibly believe you've got enough knowledge points on your scribe to have done all of that. Because I don't think that's possible yet. Done with multi-resourcefulness and you've got another scribe for the ciphers. In that case, do whatever. Sigils, I'm not sure. A really good question. I'm not actually sure. What does they say? I can't remember off the top of my head what the crafting costs are, but what I can definitely say for sure is everybody's gone Ascension. I don't know what's going on here, but clearly everybody's gone Ascension. Like the other three, nobody seems to care about. So I genuinely don't know what's going on here. There are clearly smarter people than me around this one. Ascension's on a lot of the BIS lists. I've always heard that as a super massive whack-a-mole. That's an alternative version, yeah. Ascension seems pretty cracked, waiting on nerfs. Oh, okay. Well, in that case, there's probably money in this one. But I would also suspect... All I know is that Inscription is one of those things, and anything related to Dark Moon is usually something that's hyper-competitive. But, I mean, if you're looking for something to swerve into, to spend knowledge points on, you can potentially start going that way. But I also believe that you're probably going to... you're going to end up competing with people who are BIS building it. Yeah, I'm not too sure, honestly. I have no real hands-on experience with this market, so I don't know. Don't touch my market. I'm keeping it from going to 9k. I see. I think sort of the route I'm probably looking at taking is once you've max builded something with one of your professions, rather than pushing to be BIS in something else, I think the smart move there is to then spread wide. Take that min-maxed profession at that one thing. You've got resourcefulness up the wazoo. You've got multi-craft, all of it that you need. If you've got all of your like cost reduction stats in place, what you probably want to do then is look at unlocking as much stuff as you possibly can, and that's where you'll start using your concentration. You basically get the luxury of doing, you know, best of both worlds. You've got your min-max, absolutely hyper-optimized crafting cost, guaranteeing Q3 in something, and then you switch that character into semi-optimized concentration build mode, where you just try and spend those extra knowledge points slowly unlocking as much stuff as you can. So you're going to guarantee your quality 3 thing, or even your quality 5 tool, or whatever market you sort of hyper focused on. Then you spend those knowledge points just unlocking lots of stuff to give you lots of options to log in and use your concentration on. Is probably the smart move, because if you try and go from a hyper optimized build guaranteeing something and try and diversify into another hyper optimized min-max build, by the time you actually finish that second build, there's probably not going to be any market in that anyway. So that's probably where you can use those characters to start diversifying a bit more, would be my suggestion. I'm kind of almost getting there on a few of my characters. There's a few toons actually that I've basically now got full build on, and I've started to stockpile knowledge points, and I really just need to decide where to spend them. But that's a 1% problem that I guess we'll figure out in time. Okay. Due to getting distracted by squirrels, I seem not to be able to press this button fast enough to surpass the 1,000,000 gold an hour mark again. Maybe we'll... Right, we'll keep pressing this button until it says 1,000,000 gold, and then I'm going to bed. I'm tired. Sigil market's the worst. Wasted a lot of gold and time. It's not worth it. You gotta try. You don't know until you try. The optional reagent markets, the embellishment markets are always risky. It's especially since if you want to optimize an embellishment, you are incurring the cost of focusing towards that one whilst still simultaneously gambling that it's actually on BIS lists. For if it's then not on BIS lists, you just cry, unfortunately. Whole trade chat is on full spam for that adrenal surge clasp, and nobody can guarantee the thing. It's eating up 500 concentration. That's the raid drop blacksmith thing, isn't it? I remember that as being one of the raid drop patterns. I'm so disconnected from what anybody actually wants in terms of gear crafting, because I refuse to do any of it. But it's quite funny, because a lot of the... I'm quite sure an awful lot of the people that were willing to do things like shuffling to get their professions optimized simultaneously also went the region-wide auction house route with what they were crafting as well. I really don't think there's many people out there that hyper-optimized their professions with the mindset of then filling orders for people. I'm sure there's some, but I'm sure there's also way less. That one's requiring people to spec into the Nerubian spec tree, and that's another 60 knowledge points, but just for the one single armor piece. Ooh, okay. Yeah, that's going to hurt. Crafting gear is really easy this expansion. You log in every 4 days, fill 2 orders with concentration for a nice tip, get some nice gold. Yeah, I mean, if the tips are good enough, if the tips are good, if you can make, 20k per order, like once a day, it, it sure adds up. But the concept for me was that it doesn't excite me. It in no way, shape, or form is going to excite me. Come on, 950. I'm not sitting here at 950. This is bananas. Have I literally run out of alchemical chaos potions? Oh, shit. That's the second recraft of those today. I've burnt through literally 5,000 of those things today. Probably even more. Necks and rings always seems relatively safe. Yeah, there's usually something that people want jewellery-wise. There's usually something. I also wonder just how many people went rings or necks in the hope of there being another lariat situation. I'm pretty sure that was quite strong in some people's minds. Got all the characters covering all the order markets, guaranteeing all the crafts, but it's not worth relogging over just AFK crafting region items gold-wise. Yeah, this is always the thing for me, that the work orders... Obviously, I'm not particularly a fan of the fact that you have to spam trade chat and all of that sort of business. I'm not willing to do that. But it also, for me, feels like a system that's remarkably difficult to scale. Like the scaling, what I'm doing crafting and selling reagents on the region-wide auction house and flasks and stuff is I can spend a few hours during the day pre-crafting a bunch of shit, and then I can focus on selling it all. And you can kind of scale that quite nicely. If you're doing crafting orders, it's not impossible, but it's significantly more difficult to actually operate at scale. If you're trying to trade bark for like more than 2 professions at a time, you have to literally be hopping between characters permanently, trying to keep whisper chains going, even though you're hopping between different I don't know, it sounds like a nightmare to me.
Looking for something special?
The argument is that anything that's overly difficult, there's usually going to be less competition in though, so I don't know. $980. Another couple of rescans will cross the 1 million mark. Asked in trade chat for a taunt today. 3 people whispered me immediately. Lowest ask was 5k. Wow. There's like the profession tools. I actually think there's probably a huge amount of people that can do the profession tools, because there was it seems like years ago now, but like the first few days of the expansion, every single one of those crafters that went into crafting the green profession tools, the natural continued path for them was to then spec into the blue tools and fill work orders. So I think every one of those players, or every one of those characters at least, that went big on profession tools early are now also pretty good at making the rare tools as well, and are probably fighting over opportunities, assuming you're on a big enough realm, of course that is. I just still don't want anything to do with any of it. Unless I'm logged in on that character, I'm not doing an order for 15k, resourcefulness procs included. It's just not worth, for less than 15k. I get in this discussion frequently. When I can sit without even really trying, particularly, and do 1 million gold an hour in sales on the auction house, why the Christ would I craft a piece of gear for somebody via trade chat for 20k? Why would I do it? Just why would I bother? I've probably averaged, I don't know, I've probably averaged 8 to 12 million gold a day in sales over the last few days. I don't know exactly because my TSM graph's all over the place, but just sort of by feels, I think I've probably averaged. There's a few days where I did 5 or 6 million. Few days, I think yesterday I did about 15 million. I don't know. I think the average amount of sales per hour over the last couple of days of play, like, I very rarely got less than 1 million gold an hour, I think, which entirely makes it completely, like, to even think about filling a work order for somebody, I'm like, you gotta be joking, right? If you turn around and give me 100k, sure, I'll make you a piece of gear, but, like, just no. Just no. Interested in what people who went hard into cooking have managed to do today. Yeah, this is the thing, right? It's really nice that I'm in the privileged position to be able to sit here and play video games and chat with you guys at the same time, and we can talk about different things. But there's also the side of it from my perspective of that I don't actually see firsthand a lot of what other people do. Unless I go back and like try and catch people's VODs or stuff like that. I kind of mostly go a lot by the Discord really helps. I have I go to bed and I have a read through the Discord, catch up with the Discord and whatever, which gives me an idea about what's going on. But I pretty much only know what most people tell me half the time. $15 mil from alloys and multi-craft powders? Probably. Easily done. I know for a fact I've bought a shitload of that mirror powder the last few days. How am I making 1 million gold an hour? Well, it's not making 1 million gold an hour, it's selling 1 million gold an hour. It's not profit. And this is a quiet hour right now. Before I actually started the stream this evening, I peaked at just under 5 mil. Which I'm happy with. I kind of thought, there was part of me that wondered if during Flask Hour I'd beat Gold Cap in an hour. Ever since Shadowlands Legendaries, I wanted to do more than the Gold Cap in an hour. I'd kind of have to plan and, it kind of feels like a bit fudging the numbers to do that, really. I'd have to stack everything, not sell anything all day, and then just try and hyper-focus on selling it all within a 60-minute period. But considering I'm more about just slow drip feeding stuff into the market so I don't crash stuff. If you have 10 million gold in your bags and 5 in the mailbox, what happens when you take the gold from the mailbox? Well, you can't take it. It says at gold limit. You can't. I need to go put this in the war bank, but I need to log off my other character to do it. Yeah, you get the infamous at gold limit error. An error that probably not many people have ever seen. What my profit margins roughly? I usually don't craft anything if it's less than 10%. I've kind of flexed that rule a little bit in the last couple of days. But I usually don't craft anything unless there's at least 10% profit in it. But a lot of the stuff I've been crafting over the last couple of days and selling it today, where the price difference between what I paid to craft it and what I actually sold it for is quite nice. I don't know though, is the honest answer. 20% would be nice. Anything over 10 is I'm happy with. But I think, boys and girls, I've been streaming for like literally all day today. I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed. I've had fun today. It's been an interesting one. We will we'll take a little bit of a look at this and do maybe a bit more of an overview in the morning. But can I enjoy the weekend now? Yeah, maybe. I'm pretty sure, but if I was actually just to stop rebuying materials and stop recrafting and just liquidate, I think I've done pretty well so far in Dragonflight so far. Dragonflight, the War Within, sorry, flipping hell. Moreover, it's been really fun. I've enjoyed it. But, boys and girls, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Good luck with whatever you're doing. Come say hi on the Discord if you're not already there. And, yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a good one. Peace.